done it for me.
We thank God for how far He has brought us, and I'd like to appreciate and show gratitude to the leadership of the Men's Fellowship for the opportunity they have given to me to share with you on an issue that I believe is as equally as important as all the others that we have put up for discussion. This evening, in about 30 minutes, I'll share with you on building strong and authentic connection through effective communication. Hallelujah. And so I will do a little introduction and I'll talk about what connections are. And then I'll talk about where can we connect, what are the circumstances or the context within which we get to connect, and then what we need as a skill set in order to be able to connect. And then I'll do a little talk on communication, which I believe a lot of you have different ideas about, so I will not spend too much time on it. And then we'll look at the benefits of connecting through communication. Hallelujah. So, whether we like it or not, we are not an island. And because we are not an island, we need people around us. And so, if you have people around you and you still don't connect with those people, then the people are not important to you. So, it's just like you having a problem, and then you are given a solution, and then you don't tap into the solution. Or you are sick, and they've given you medication, and you don't take the medication, then you are as equally as not having the medication, even though the medication is with you. And I think that is what the situation is for many of us. We have the resources around us, we have whatever we need, and yet we are not tapping into it because we don't know how to tap into those resources. And I'll tell you a story that I read once. I think the book is An Acre of Diamonds. And what the book says is that there was a young man whose father, left him a big farm with a river that passes through the farm. And I think the setting is somewhere in Colombia or in South Africa. And the young man was so crazy about diamonds that he sold the farm his father had let him and went looking for diamonds elsewhere. So like this Galamsey, the guys went farming and looking for diamonds in other places and never found diamonds. Even if they did, it was not worth it. Now the man who bought his farm one day was seated by the river enjoying himself and found something sparkling in that river and went out there, took a look at it, and it was one of the biggest diamonds that had ever been found under the earth. Now what this means is that the young man sold a farm and a river full of diamonds and went looking for diamonds. If I can Google the book, it's called An Acre of Diamonds. And it just tells us that it is not enough to have resources around you. What is most important is your ability to tap into those resources. And so that is how connection is all about. We have all the people around us, but until we connect to those people, we don't find the benefit that they bring to us. And so the second point I want to raise here by way of introduction is to say that no matter how strong you are, you cannot carry yourself. Think about it. You can look for the strongest man under the sun and give him 1 year. That man cannot carry himself. What it means is that we need people. No matter who you are, no matter what you have achieved, we still need people. And somebody said something once that there are things that we cannot do for ourselves. There are certain things we cannot do for ourselves. And that is why even the rich people need people like cooks, drivers, cleaners in their homes. And so people are important. Everything we have received, everything we have benefited from, it came through people. And you can only get those benefits if you connect with those people. And so the connection is very important. Look, I don't know whether I've shared this with you before, but I have made it a point to connect with people no matter their level, no matter their status. Because sometimes what you're looking for is not with your level of people. It's actually the people who are lower than you, the people that you don't take for nothing, They are the ones that have a solution to what your problems are. And so this evening, I want you to have a renewed mind and have a different perspective and different approach to how you treat people, especially the people who you do not find as being at your level. And so me, I treat my drivers, I treat my co-workers, my subordinates, whoever they are, because I keep telling people that I am where I am because of some grace, some circumstance that brought a difference between me and them. And it's not because I'm a better person than them. And so there are things that you cannot do for yourself that they will do for you. Therefore, we must learn how to connect with people at all levels. So 3 things I want to say by way of introduction. You are not an island. 2, no matter how strong you are, you can't carry yourself. And 3, we all need people. And we must value people. We must learn to connect with people. Now, let me also tell you, the way you connect with people is not the same across board. There are people you connect with at certain levels. There are people you connect with at certain level. So there are 3 levels of connection for you. 1, those at your level, either in the office, either by way of your social class, either by way of your marital class, either by way of your family class. There are people you connect or by way of your age class. There are people at your level at different stages. So it's either by age, by classmate, by workmate, by marriage mate, by family mate. There are people, they may not be the same age as you are, but they may be at your level, maybe at the office, you are all managers or you are on the. So those people, there's a way you connect with them. Then we have those that are above you. So they could be your bosses, they could be your seniors, they could be your senior brothers, they could be your spiritual fathers. Those people too, there's a way you connect with them. And finally, there are people who are below you, either by age, you are older than them, either by level in terms of the office, you are their bosses, or by way of whichever way it is, there's a way you are higher than them in a certain class, and to some profono, and also different room. So take note of these 3 levels, and you ask yourself, which level do I want to connect with? And where does that person stand for me? And what kind of strategy do I use? You don't use the same connection strategy for all these 3 different people. It will not work. I hope you understand that. What I can do, Charlie, how? I can't do that to the guy higher than I am or the guy lower than I am. The guy at my level, I can do that because there are protocols about how you connect with all these different kinds of people. Now, the next thing I want to say is that, what do we mean by connections? So I'm saying that connections are engagements that are purposefully created and nurtured for the benefit of both you and the person you have developed the connections with. So, like I said from the beginning, you are like a sick person who has medication by you. You need to put in an effort to connect with that medicine so that you can get the benefit of that medicine. It must be purposeful. It must be intentional. It must be planned. Some may happen by accident. You bump into somebody and then you connect with the person and then you... But there's always the need to nurture that connection. If you don't nurture it, it will not grow. It will die. It's like your network, you need to nurture it. And so I'm saying that it is also an engagement. An engagement because it is not a one-sided business. And you see, normally, when we connect in a one-sided way, we lose the benefits of it. And sometimes connection could become, the word I want to use is, it could become it's like it could become somebody could be taking advantage of the other in a situation where you are connecting with somebody if you don't find your level for that connection. So because one only pakon on no connecting on no or trimpumbitia or no connecting. Who will say be opewasem keke? There's always a reason why somebody will go off their way to connect with you. It could be for business, it could be to use you. And I've seen many instances where we have been used by people because they know what they want from us, and so they connected. And because you don't have a purpose for that connection, you stood aloof and you were used. And you only see you have been used at the end of the process when it is too late to recover. So there are many of us who have been used. But let me make this point also. There are times that you allow yourself to be used because you are enjoying being used. And I'll tell you why. There are times where the connection is not at the same level. You remember I told you there are 3 levels of connection. You can connect at the same level, you can connect to your superior level, you can connect to your lower level. There are some times that if you are connecting to a higher level, you are at the disadvantage most of the times. But if you purposefully go into that connection or go into that engagement, then even though the other party may think that they are using you, you know what you are getting, so you are sticking in there. Sometimes it is for you to work hard so that you can get the benefit. It does not come cheap. It's not always. Remember, connection with people is not always mutual. Because the moment you begin to think that it must be mutual, that is when you get to be paid at the end of the day. But if you understand that it is not always mutual, then you will stand and take the advantage the way you can. The Bible says that, and a man and a woman went to Jesus and spoke about his son, and just said, but this food is not for, it is for, see, even the dogs eat from the crumbs of the table. There is a connection, but that man or that woman realized that he cannot be at the same level to connect with Jesus, but he was willing to connect at the lower level by saying that even the dogs can eat from the crumbs. In that case, he doesn't feel insulted when Jesus said that, oh, but even are you dogs, because he understood the level of the connection. He totally went to that table knowing that I am nowhere near sitting at the same level with Jesus. I'm good enough, or I'm okay with sitting at the crumbs. And the Bible says that he received whatever he wanted at the crumbs level. Sometimes you don't need to be at the same level to receive your benefit out of that connection. If you know where you are sitting and you understand the level of the connection, you stay where you are and you still benefit at your level and everybody is happy. Sometimes that's where we make the mistake. We connect and think that we must be at the same stage. Look, you've got a business. The idea is yours. But somebody is higher up there who is pushing the idea. And they want to do 50-50. It will not work. You will feel like you have been cheated. No, it must be 20-80 or 30-70 or 40-60 if you are lucky. But that is how, if you understand it that way, and Nya will say, yes, it's you. Understand the point at which you are connecting. Hallelujah. Interestingly, I walked into a bookshop this afternoon and found a book written by John Maxwell. And guess what it's on? It's on communication, connecting through communication. I said I should have seen this book yesterday. But I picked something from it. It says that everyone communicates, but only few people connect. The book is sitting in my car. It says everyone communicates, but only few connect. And he admits that the difference between a successful person and a failed person could not be talent, it could not be hard work, it could just be connections. People don't find the opportunity to connect at the right time, at the right place. And he goes on to say that there are dots all over in our lives. What makes the difference for us is to identify those dots and connect them rightly. When we connect the dots in our lives, it becomes advantageous to us and we are able to see the benefits of it. Now, the next question I'm asking is that where do we connect? I've mentioned quite a few of them. Sometimes we connect in our schools, our old school associations. They are great places where we can connect. Remember, we are looking for the benefits of connecting through communication. Now, we can connect in our school. So those of you who are still in school, you are in university, you are doing MBA, you are doing whatever. These are the times or these are the places you can connect. Now, there are many of my classmates that today I get a lot of connections to or a lot of business from because I connected way back. And sometimes people are sensitive at the time you connect. People are sensitive at the time and the moment you connect. Because if you connect to me now because you think that I have something that you need, for those of us who are conscious of those things, we don't mind you. We refer to you as an opportunist. And therefore, we don't pay attention to you. You must keep your relationships. And there's something I should have mentioned, that is, when we are able to rightfully connect the dots, then our connections create relationships. Connections do not naturally create relationships. But if we are able to properly connect the dots, then our connections now can create relationships. And that means you are taking it for the long haul and no longer the short term. And so the question I'm asking is that look around and think about it. The people you went to school with, maybe primary school, JSS, O level, A level, university, whatever. How many of them do you still connect with? Have those connections become relationships? Those are the questions you ask yourself. Because one of my mates called me about a month ago. He's somebody I connect with. So we are no longer connecting, we are in a relationship. He calls me and says, hey, Zuman. Anytime somebody calls me Zuman, I know where the guy is coming from. He says, hey, Zuman, there's something, Charlie, I feel say we'll do something. And I'm telling you, we are cooking some big pot of food. Because we have moved from connection to relationship. And so the guy is comfortable to cook that food with me. He knows I will not put poison in it. He knows I will not put too much salt in it because me too, I'm going to eat some. And so you must move from just connections to relationships. Now, the next level is that we can also connect in our neighborhoods. There are many of you in your neighborhoods, you don't even know the name of the guy next door. No, seriously. Especially those of us who live in gated, communities like that. Everybody drives into their home, they press their key, and then he opens their door, they enter and quickly they lock it up. But something happened to me before, and that's sometimes we think it's a nuisance, especially if you live in an area where it's a mixed area, you have the ruffians, and then the Kesomami people and all those people. So sometimes if you're not careful the way you build relationships with them, they mess around with you. They will come there and knock your door. And then I mean, the guy walks into my house one early morning around 6, knocks at my door and he walks and I open him. He comes in and says, "Senior, who came at the but them say you shouldn't name it." And I'm saying, "Okay, and shut down here, Papa." I say, "Patrick, come in. New person you come back." And I'm sure what's up? What's them come up? I say, and then in 3 days now I walk come again. Your mom, and I walk come again. I'm a taxi driver. And now we to Amasama a hospital and fire watch and Pantinka, Bepobos, Kabaman Busian 150 Ghana beer, Nanka, Umami 2 months and I come about it. And I'm sure okay, Mati, it's in Chamber. I went to the room, I brought him 200. I'm sure Michelle and Nikki 200. Or maybe 1 month to 6 months, me who got to maintain a car. One time I was there. Late in the evening, some guy came to knock at my door. He said, "Oh, Omunsuasa, think let me have 1 bucket of water." So, no problem. So I gave it. You want to avoid, sometimes you want to avoid some of those nuisance. But they are important people. You connect with them because remember I've told you that there are certain things you cannot do for yourself. And guess what happened one time? Just about a few weeks ago, we got some consignment of things we needed to offload. And when the truck drove in, they saw the truck. And this time the guy came without any helps. And guess what? The guys walked with their bus and they came, "Oh, senior, but they were very helpful. There were 2 of them. They helped us pack the thing. That evening, if they were not around, it would have been difficult to pack those things. That's the thing about your neighborhood. You connect with them. It's important. Something happened with me and Sedinam. When Sedinam was in JSS, I resolved not to pick them from school again. I thought that they should learn the hard way of after school, they should jump into the. So one day I went and picked them. Is this where the whole thing started? And I got very upset. I went and picked them from school, and then they sat in my car and they were waving their friends. I'm like, so these ones, how they get to it? So they'll get to the junction, they'll pick a trotro and go. I see. So why are you sitting in my car? Then I had a discussion with the mother that, Charlie, I think we're not doing these children any good. Let's allow them to join their colleagues, walk from the school to the junction, take trotro, get to the junction, and walk home. The first week was terrible. They came in as if they had been beaten to pulp. I mean, I'm this camera driver, then gradually, We taught them what to do, and then now they were happy to come home on their own, and they were excited about the experience. They come and tell me, this kind of man made, you know. So woman said I should get up. I said, no, I have paid. Me too, I won't get up. I will sit down. I said, that's good. Now guess what? One day we were there when our neighbor brought the smaller one to us. Also, we said on in Palestine, oh baby. And I said, hey, a Palestine, they okay, they were because soon any Palestine, oh baby. Apparently, they were walking together with his friends to the place to come and buy the car. I think he followed some of his friends. When they got to the market and they took their way to their house, he was lost. That was the Laden. And luckily, this guy who lives in the neighborhood and knows us saw him loitering around and said, this is man, you know. So he picked him and brought him home. Then I said, wow. So there's somebody I greet. He's not my friend, but I greet him. You know, anytime I see, oh, Chief, at the idea. Do you think that if I didn't greet or I was not greeting that guy, you would have bothered about my son? No. And a friend told me a story. I was shocked. He said in his neighborhood, there are some guys, ruffians. You know, when he was building his place, they came to help up when the guys were armed robbers. And he was nice with them because they helped him when he was building his place. They were doing by day and things like that. And then one of the times he was talking to one of them to the senior. Yes, I come here, find I'm robbers. So, I say, I want to say, Walamune, a bobo, and yet test you say, a power man. So, in your neighborhood, you must learn to connect. But you want the balance. You don't want to be too open so that they mess around with you. You know how to do it, but you shouldn't drive past them without honking and saying hello or greeting them. It is important. One day you will not be around, they will sort you out. So that's the way you can connect in your neighborhood. You can connect in your workplace. In your workplace, you will connect with your bosses, with your mates, with your subordinates. Because you don't know when you will need any of them to speak for you. Sometimes you will not be there when the decision about you is being taken. But if you have built that connection with people, they speak for you even in your absence. And I'm telling you this, I have seen it, I have heard it, I have felt it. In your workplace, there are times they will speak about you at places that you are not there. And so please pay attention. In the church, it's a great place to connect. Let's create opportunity to understand. Yes, this one. Let's create opportunity to understand them. Now, there are other social areas you can connect. You go to a funeral, you are sitting next to somebody. That person you are sitting next to is the person God has prepared to change your destiny. But you will not connect. Everybody is on their phone. Their social media, there are times you go for an event and you are sitting with a billionaire. You're on the flight, you are sitting next to a billionaire. When you're concentrated on your phone, a flight, 8 hours flight, 10 hours flight, come to an end. You didn't even say hello. Hi, my name is this. I'm from Ghana. I'm in this space. What do you do? You know, is there anything we can connect? Is there anything we can talk about? But you know how many people have connected with their destinies just because they connected with people on a flight? Do you know how many people have changed their destinies because they sat in a place next to somebody and they said hello, hi, and the conversation went on, cards were exchanged, and lives changed? You have no idea. And so let's not lose those opportunities to engage. Let's stop keeping our lives on our phones, and even in the midst of people where we can talk to people, we don't do that. We keep on our phones and we lose opportunities. Yes, the next one. So I've talked about this already that, yes, next. I've said that connections do not necessarily create relationships. It is what you do with those connections that will create the relationship. And remember, I've also said that there are many dots all over in our lives. All those dots are waiting for is for you to connect them so that they can move from connections into what? Into relationships. And it's the relationships that bring the benefit. Don't forget this. It's the relationships that bring the benefit. Next. Now, the next thing I want to do is that what do I need in order to what? To connect. And I'll share, there are about 13 of these things. I'll just go through quickly, but I will share with you a few things about some of them. The first thing you need to understand when you have to connect is that you need focus. You need to prepare yourself to engage. You need to prepare yourself. You need to have a reason why you want to connect with that individual. It should not be just for the sake and the fun of it. You must have a focus for it. You must be very, very focused on the goal for which you are connecting. If you are connected because of business, look, go through and get to the business. Don't meet people and be talking about unnecessary things. Look, I remember I read a book by Dr. I think Maurice Selleroux or something like that. And he said that a young man wanted to interview him. And the young man didn't do his homework. He did not find the point where it was important to focus on and went around talking about unnecessary things. If you sit in your room and say, look, I need this connection. I need somebody to give me a connection to some business, and somebody gives you a number, or you Google and you find the opportunity, don't go and waste the person's time. The only reason you say things that are not important is because you did not focus your attention on what you wanted from that connection. The second thing is to prepare. If you prepare, the focus comes in. You must have the initiative to engage. It's important. You must have the passion to continue. Sometimes it doesn't happen immediately. It could take years. There are some engagements that are slow. It builds over time. Some want to test and see whether you are credible to be dealt with. They will not immediately. And see, they are very experienced, especially if you meet older people who have been in the space you are trying to go into. So somebody who has been in business for years. The moment you walk into their space, they know who you are. They can tell, they can read you because they have been doing that for years. And so such people, they don't immediately open up. They want to give you time to show yourself that you are the kind of person they can do business with. Because the moment they start doing business with you, your life changes forever. And so those people, you need passion to stay in that connection. Because what passion does for you is that it gives you the energy to be able to continue even when the times are difficult. And all of us need a passion because the passion defines your momentum with which you approach an event. And momentum is everything. Those of you who did some science, you will know that momentum, you need momentum to overcome the inertia. And the inertia is that fear, that drawback, that hesitation that we all have when we are going to something or into territory that we are not conversant with, that we are not easy with. So we panic. We are afraid. But there's something somebody told me. He says that what do you lose? The worst is that, I'm sorry, I don't want to do business with you or I cannot help you. Charlie, you pack your bag and go to the next station. And so we need that passion to ignite our momentum to keep us trying and keeping on. Look, there have been things that have been on my table for years. You go out and then you hit and you come back. And then you come and re-strategize and you go. You come and re-strategize and you go. Some take over years. But one day with that persistence, the door opens for you and people will think that you just got it open. They don't know how many years you've been trying that key in that lock until the day it fits in and then it open it for you. Now you also need character. And as they will say, character is what you do when nobody is watching you. You must be the same in the morning, the same in the afternoon, and the same at night. It does not matter who is there or who is not there. Who you are is who you are. So any day we put the spotlight on you, you are the same person we are dealing with. When that happens, people find you are consistent and it's easy to deal with you. When people connect with you, they want to see your consistency. They want to see how hard you can stand or withstand the changes. Because when you are put under pressure and you break or you change, then it means that your character is not authentic. Because who you are is who you are. It does not matter what the pressure is. But today it's difficult to find us stay who we are. We are different in the morning, different in the afternoon, and different at night. Because each of these times, there's a different, spotlight on us, and we want to look different for different people for different purpose. Then I talked about the need for us to have courage. Courage is not the absence of fear. As we know, it's not the absence of fear. It's the presence of the mindset to deal with the difficult issues. And then you need a teachable spirit, or you must be somebody who can learn. Because, sometimes depending on the level of connection, you may be learning. Or you would have the opportunity to learn. And if you don't have the capacity to learn, you are not teachable, it becomes difficult for you to see the benefit of the networking or the connection. Because when people connect with you, they cannot continuously be teaching you. It must get to the point where they are comfortable that you have reached a stage where they don't have to teach you anymore, but you rather should be manifesting the learnings that you've taken out of them. And it's important to have that spirit. And finally, you must be responsible for anything that happens in that connection. You see, we are very easily blaming other people for our own problems. Very easily we will blame other people. But what we need in order to connect is to be responsible for our actions. That is the only way you will keep getting better. Because until you admit that it is your action that has led to this, you cannot make any amends out of it. You cannot learn out of it. Because you are blaming somebody else for that action, and therefore you will need people to do that. Now let's talk about communication. What is the place of communication in connection? Now, as we all may have learned in one stage of our education or the other, communication is a process. And the process starts from one individual deciding, move to the next slide, deciding to reach out to another individual with a message or with an intention. So there are times where you don't need to speak your message, but your communication or your information can reach the other party. Look, for many of us as parents, we just take a look at our children in a situation. They know what we are trying to send, the message we are sending to them. Just the looks alone. It is not words. It is looks. And it communicates the information you are sending out there. Now remember that there are these forces that are involved in communication. The first one is that there must be a message, whichever way you look at it, whether by look, whether by words, whether by action, whether by emotion, there must be a message. If there is no message, there's no communication. That message does not necessarily need to be tangible. It can also be in any other form. The second thing you need to realize is that there must be a recipient for that message. If there's no recipient, there cannot be a communication. So the sender or the person who has the intention to communicate anything must have somebody waiting to receive it, or a certain setup that will take that information. The third is that there must be an action that you must receive from that communication. We call the feedback. And so in some areas they'll tell you that if the feedback does not happen, communication is not deemed to have taken place. The person who sent the message must get some kind of feedback that tells him or her whether you have received that message or not. And even whether you have received the right message or not. Now, in the midst of all this, there's something we call noise. Noise is anything that in any way will prevent that message from being delivered in the sanctity in which we expect it to be delivered. And noise could be in any form, not just necessarily the sound we hear. Noise could be anything. It could be a distraction. So I'm speaking to you now, some animal passes here, you turn your eye, you come back, you've lost the message. That is noise. But we are used to noise as sound. But in this context, noise is not just sound. It is anything that has the potential to unduly subdue the message that is being sent to the recipient. Now, where does connection come into this relationship? You see, you need to connect with the recipient of the message. Because if there's no connection, the message is difficult to transmit. If there's no connection, the feedback is difficult to be sent and received. And so the medium through which your communication takes place, that medium must be the medium of connection. And so can you imagine if I'm talking to you and you are not paying attention to me. I could be saying all the nice things, but you are not picking it. Sometimes it's not just in the words, it's also in my demeanor. It's also in my actions. It's also in the way I communicate. If you pay attention and you connect with me, then you are able to get the message. Now let me give you an example of a phone. If your phone is off and I call you, you obviously not receive that call because we are not connected. Communication does not happen if there's no connection. Am I reaching you? Communication does not happen if there's no connection. That is why we need a medium to connect the two parties so that we can seamlessly transmit our message and get our feedback so that we can conclude the loop of the communication that there is. And so we have talked about what you need in order to create that connection with the other party that you are communicating with. And this other party could be the same people I'm talking about that you need to connect with, either in your neighborhood, in your family, in your school, in your church, in your other social engagement. These are the people you can only communicate with them if you have an engagement with them. Hallelujah. Now, what are some of the components of communication? Next slide. When people communicate with us, we must learn to listen actively. Active listening is when we engage fully with the speaker. I've told you about that already. As I'm communicating with you, I see almost everyone paying attention and actively listening. Then what we are doing is that we have passed the first test for communication. We must also demonstrate understanding of the message that we are sending out there. And it's important because until you demonstrate by your feedback that the message I've sent to you, you are receiving it, you understand it, it is in the same thing that I've sent to you, communication may not have taken place. We must also empathize in the process, and empathizing means that we must understand the other person's perspective and emotions. Sometimes, if we are able to empathize with the other party, we can change our medium of communication. We can change our points of connection because we would have realized that the state of the other party is not properly in tune with the process that we are using. I hope you understand that. So if we are communicating, you should not be selfish. You should always find out on the other party whether they are in the right frame of mind, they are in the right context, on their right place to be able to understand and pick the signals that you are sending to them. It's important. And they must respond with compassion and sensitivity. You want to send a message around. If the only way to get a message around is to understand what the other party is going through, I think that may even inform the way you will send your message around. And then thirdly, we must be transparent. Remember, people, when you connect with people, they want to see how genuine you are. They want to see how genuine you are, how authentic that connection is. It is only when they are comfortable that you mean well that they are able to open up for that relationship to go on. And so we are saying that you must be open and honest in your communication. Don't be the kind of person that today, when they meet you in the morning, you have a different message. They meet you in the afternoon, you have a different message. And they meet you in the evening, you have a different message. It does not help with people being comfortable getting into your connection space. Now, there are many of you that when some people call you, you look at the phone and you don't pick it up. Because they are wasting your time, they are wasting your data, they are wasting your battery. Someone can say read out. 30 minutes, 45, 1 hour, no more. As a credit, no money free. There's something people hate about me in my workplace. I never have any meeting more than an hour. No matter how long the items are, either we cut it to 1 hour, or we come and we continue, or we find 1 hour to do it. Anytime you have a meeting beyond 1 hour, it is no longer, impactful. And so it is a policy in our office that we don't have any meeting more than 1 hour. And I always get to my meeting venue 15 minutes before the time. And because other people ask me whether I have lived in the US before, whether I was trained in the US, whether the US come and call that, mini baby. But we must all stand up for something and let people know what we stand up for. And therefore, they will treat us with that kind of respect. Let's share relevant information all the time. Unless that connection is in a social setting, ya core program be ya beji any, it's not anything serious until you didn't come on hununi idea that is allowed. But do not waste people's time when they give you the opportunity to connect with them. People who are serious get upset. They will never honor your meeting again. And you all know it, those of us or those of you here who deal at that level, if you know a particular person who talks too much and never makes any sense, you avoid having meetings with them. You must be authentic. You must be true to yourself and therefore true to others. Express your thoughts, your feelings, and your intentions sincerely. Let people, people can read through your emotions when you are pretending they know. They only show you respect by not telling it to you in your face. But they can read you. They can know that you're there. Oh, clock the jump in obey. My friend is saying something assume when those who cry those things. I say they call it. I say then something soon. So then people know it when you're not sincere. They know. They know. But in this country, we like to patronize. So we pretend that everything is okay. Next slide. This is what I've been trying to explain in the communication process. People have perceptions. When you are communicating with people, they have their own perceptions of what you are saying. They have their own interpretations of the things you are sending. Your body language, the message you are sending, your facial expression, your body, everything. People read you totally. 360, they read you. And they interpret what they want to interpret. They look at the feelings you are putting in. They read your intentions. They look at your actions. You on the other side, you must be curious. You must check it out. You must cross-check the information people give you. There's a whole context around the communication. Where you are, the issues that you are dealing with, the settings you find yourself in. All these things can impact on the level of communication that you send out to people. And you must pay attention to it. Where are you standing? What is the context? Are the people comfortable where they are? What is the core of your message? Within the first 15 minutes, deliver it. Don't waste people's time. Now, what do I get when I communicate properly? Next slide. This is my last slide. Then we'll have a little discussion. When I communicate properly, I activate my own energy and other people's energy. When I communicate properly, I direct people on what I want from them. Because if I say, pick this thing for me, is it a tambourine? Is it his car key? Is it his phone? Or is it a microphone? So why can't I say, pick the tambourine for me? When we communicate clearly, we direct people on what we want out of that communication. When we communicate properly, we position ourselves well and position the other party also well. So communication helps with positioning. But what you're doing is that you are sending information out to people that will elevate them to a certain position that you want them to be. When you tell people things, you are telling them because you want to find them at a certain stage or a certain level. When you communicate properly, you sharpen the skills of people and sharpen the skills for yourself. Remember, I've said that it's a two-way thing when you are connecting with people. It's a mutual thing. You go in there hoping to be sharpened and hoping that others will get sharpened by you. And 3, you are able to sustain your position with people when you communicate properly. And 2, you are able to multiply your skill set when you communicate properly. And you're able to influence people. The greatest of them for me is your ability to influence people through your communication. Because you see, the only way you get people to do things for you is when you're able to what? Influence. Remember we said that leadership is about influencing others to live their own goals and come and what? Pursue your goal. It's all about influencing, and you cannot lead people without communicating properly. And the objective or what you get out of communication is when you are able to influence people. And thirdly, those who communicate well protect themselves and protect the people they are communicating with. Because you see, the objective of communication is to say the right things at the right times, in the right quantities, for the right reason. And when that happens, what you have done is to protect yourself and also protect the other party. Why would you give people information that will destroy them? It will end up destroying you also. So you must learn to communicate properly, and by so doing, you protect people. And finally, you communicate so that you can expand. You get better, you get bigger when you communicate properly. Because remember, we have said that it is not just about you, it's also about the other party. And it's important that you find the way to expand others through your communication. Don't communicate with people so that they are broken, so that they are made to feel they are worthless, so that they are made to feel that they have nothing to offer. No, that is not the best way to do it. At the end of every communication, you are not just connecting with people, you are also what? Expanding people in their skill set, in their capacity, in their outlook, in their potential, and also in the benefit that they get. They must become better than you did when you met them at the first time. And remember, communication is not just about you. It's also about the environment. It's also about the party you are communicating with. And it's also about the message you are communicating to. And to conclude, I'm going to say something that I want you to take home. And what I'm going to say is that the difference between you being successful and the other party not being successful is not about their talent. It's also not about their capacity. It's about their connections and how they connect with people through the way they communicate with people. Hallelujah. Thank you very much for the opportunity. And if there are any questions, we will take them and then take it from there.
Thank you. My question has to do with, imagine I meet an influencer for the first time, and I manage somehow to get his contact. How should I progress with the relationship going forward?
First, now, I advise you to do is to ask yourself, what do I want from this relationship? What do I want? And sometimes it's good to write it down. What do you want? Sometimes when I'm calling people that are very high up me, I have a paper in front of me, and I've listed the things I want to say. Sometimes even the words I want to use, I write it. Because those people, the moment you use the one wrong word, you are gone. You are finished. And you will not have time to redeem yourself. So when I have that opportunity, and this week I've had one of such opportunities to speak to somebody way up, and I can't call the person. You know, naturally I'm a shy person, so I find it difficult to engage with people. And so I took a paper and a pen, and I have this black, book that I use. If I open it to you, see the date, the time, the person, what and what I discussed. Then I tick and I write something on it, so that tomorrow, if I have to do a follow-up, I know what. If you come to my office, I have this small books, paper they cut. I have one box that is full of it. I'll write the date, I'll write the time, and I'll write the individual I'm dealing with and the issues I want to discuss. And then the person's responses, I put them and I file them. Because when I'm going back to continue the discussion, I need to know where I ended off. Because it's annoying when you spoke to somebody and the person doesn't recall what was discussed the last time, especially when it's within a week or two. It's like, you're not serious. So first of all, write out what you want to discuss with that individual. Rehearse it if you don't want to make a mistake. If you don't have what it takes, rehearse it and call the person. And when you call the person, don't waste the person's time for the first time. Just go straight to the point. Do your greetings. Oh, we met here, and I really liked the talk you gave, and I thought that there were issues that I wanted to have a discussion with you. Normally, what I do is I'll send you a WhatsApp message and say, is it a good time to talk? Or can you kindly let me know when it is okay to speak with you? I do that a lot with the ministers and those people. I'll send you a WhatsApp and say, good evening, good afternoon, sir. This is Dela, even though the guy knows my number. Sometimes they'll say, I know it is you, but I will always introduce myself. Sometimes they don't save your number. You think they have time for you? They don't save your number, so you have to introduce yourself. This is Dela. We met here, or this man said I should call you. I want to know whether it is a good time to call, or kindly let me know when it is the right time to call you. Then you leave it there. Then the next level is that you state, say, I called you because of this. Thank you. Don't waste their time the first time. When you build that relation, when you connect and you become a relationship, then you can talk about things that are not within your focus. You can then do some social around thing. Oh, I heard this on the radio. It was really interesting, blah, blah, blah. But if you are early stages of developing a relationship, don't waste time. Don't crack jokes. Because sometimes the level makes the jokes different. The joke that will be exciting at the down there is very annoying at the top there. Jokes. They will write you off.
And don't be too begging to. Especially for those of us at our level, we see you only at the end, oh, Prime Minister, I mean, you have now, oh, say, please, no. As I say, you don't know what you're about. You also don't want to be disrespectful. There's a finesse about it. You see, I cannot be talking to a minister and say, yes, please. No. Please is saying, I'm also somebody, so I cannot be saying, please. Say, honorable, fine, but please, no. And so, at a certain level, when you have built a relationship, then you want to be now hitting at your level because of the level you sit. I hope that is clear. You must always write it out. Be sure what it is you want to say. Don't make the mistake of speaking extempore. You will mess it up. Even those of us who have dealt with them, every time we make sure you write it. Because when they write you off, you are finished. Though. The next discussion, your name comes out. Oh, forget about him. Now you say, and you will not be there to defend yourself. You will not be there. So make sure you get it right the first time. Yes.
Okay, thank you. Is it okay to intentionally and forcefully create connection? And is it healthy?
Yes. Yes. Because it will not fall on your lap automatically. But you must do it so that it's not a nuisance. But I say, if you hire no fraud, 3:30, no fraud, no fraud. Look, when I call a higher level person, it rings once, twice, they don't pick, I cut the call. Because you know how annoying this you're in a meeting and somebody is calling you repeatedly, or fraud, Sabi, where Jimmy for? Who so for once to know and find chest on person no because I know I busy. It's annoying. So offer one, a ring you 1, 2, 1 for penwa kate, then send a message. Or my advice is to first of all send a message to see, sir, this is me. Is it okay to call you now? Or can you kindly let me know when it is okay to call you? Most of the time, they will call you back, or they'll send you a message that I can call now. Or call me in 30 minutes, I'm busy now. When you do that, they think that you are reasonable. But if you plan it, it is very seamless. But don't be annoying about it. Sometimes they get upset with you. Because they are seeing themselves there, they think they are helping you. Sometimes at the end of the day, they benefit from that connection or relationship. But all at the beginning, they think that you are being too forceful, hard being. You know what I mean? So you must be careful about it. You must be very sensitive about it. You must always keep a log if it's one particular person you want to deal with. The last time you spoke with him, said, the last time we spoke, you said we should do ABC. They have done them, and I just want to give you feedback on it. Because you have done, you know what it is you are talking. You must always be able to deal with it. Now, one thing I do when I deal with my senior officers in the office and the rest is that sometimes they don't want to be bound by what they have said. So I'll send you back an email and say, is it my understanding that these are the issues you want me to deal with in our conversation? Because what I say and what I do, I need a trail. And because they also know they don't want to leave a trail, so they will never send you an email. They'll never send, they'll call you and talk and tell you about, they'll call you to their office and speak about it. For those of us who have learned the trail, we will, after I've left your office, I go and sit behind my computer and I send you a very nice email that, just for clarity's sake, do I get understanding that these are the issues we have discussed and these are the things you want me to do going forward? Kindly confirm so that I can go ahead. Very nicely. You know, one of them, my boss said, hey, they're all a bad boy. With the emails, I was sending me, then collaborating emails. And when we do come on, you better make sure I can send me email. You better make card here. Mrs. Say, they are no crackers. I agree. They are not comfortable with that. So don't be too forthright with it. Obi o kana hu na hi. Into ko any gidi kra anka watian obi ani. But if you take time with it, you can always get to them. Because sometimes some of them want to help, but they just want to avoid being harassed. That's what it is. I've been harassed many times. And sometimes I would talk to the people and say, we don't do it like this. I said you should come and see me. You shouldn't be calling me 3 times, 4 times every 5 minutes now, frame. Why? So I taught them, send me a message. And in most of the cases, I'll call you back. Because I don't leave my calls on return unless it didn't come to my phone. Especially if I don't know the number. It could be business. Yes, sir.
Okay, another question from me. What kind of gifts can you give to such, maybe a person that you want to build a connection with, or a high-profile person? Gifts. Gifts.
Ah.
Gifts.
Charlie.
Because Bible teaches me that
Your
gifts
gifts open doors.
opens doors.
Look, let me tell you something about gifts. If you get it wrong, you are finished. If you get it wrong, you are finished. So rather not do it if you are not sure. At best, you want to give stuff that are not like you want to impress them. So I'll normally do books. I'll normally do books for such people. Because what is it you're going to give him that he doesn't have? But you're giving him a gift in appreciation or of something he has done over the time he has opened up to you. So you rather do a book. So mostly I do books. Unless you have an insider information that, oh, this man, he likes this. Look, the last time I went to South Africa, I went to the wine factories. And somebody told me that my board chairman likes a particular wine type. So, and interestingly, when I went to the wine shop, when they produce the wine less than a certain number, they don't sell it. They number it. And it's only sold at the winery. And so you never find any in any shop. And luckily for me, they were one of those such wines that didn't get the total they wanted to ship it out. And so they kept it in the wine shop. And I bought one for him. And he was so happy. He said, how do you know I like this style of wine? I said, well, I just guessed. So if you get insider information that helps you, you can do those packages. But if you're not sure about it, don't do it. Rather do something that is general. Book. Those things normally would fit most of the time. Will fit most of the time.
All right. I think we've had some good interactions so far. Just wanted to say something. At least from what Pastor Osu Ansan said, quoting the Bible, says a man's gift. He didn't say go and give a gift. That's a contest. So that the young people will understand. He says a man's gift. The gift God gave you when you came to this world, that is what will make a way for you. If you give someone a gift under the laws of Ghana, the person has to pay tax on it. Yes. So if you give someone a gift, unless you conceal it, but if you say, Ishia, I bought you an iPhone, you have to go and see the tax master, and then the tax master will assess it, and then I think it's 15% of the cost of that. First 500, that is free. Maybe so for the first time. So these are things, I like the fact that these things are coming up in our discussion so that on all levels we'll do right by God and we'll do right by God. But it doesn't mean that you don't have to do your deals. As for your deals, you need to do them. That's very important. You need to do your deals. Otherwise, if you were a businessman, you will never get any business. Right? The second thing I wanted to ask was, you're talking about sometimes the people you need to deal with, how they respond to you. Maybe you call them, some of them are not happy with the calls, and that kind of thing. I want to know, for my own consumption, are these people who are in the public sector or in the private sector? So this mindset, this I wouldn't say attitude in a negative way, but the way they come across. You know, when you deal with public servants, there's this entitlement, right? They think that they are rather doing a favor. But when you shoot across to the private sector, they are more accommodating. So what's your experience like?
So it cuts across. I think it's about people. It's not necessarily about where they sit. It's about people and what they think they are and what they think they are bringing to the table. If that person will get something from you and you are calling him, you will respond. But if they think that they are the ones at the higher level, they are the ones who are leveraged and you are the ones who is going to be taken from them, then they take that posture. If it's mutual, they come to the table like that. So it's not necessarily where they sit in terms of the sector. It's just about the person thinking that he's doing you a favor and what you are bringing to the table is nothing for him to worry about. I have had a situation where the table has turned. From the beginning, the person thought that I was the one rather pestering and worrying him. Then all of a sudden, the guy needs something from me, and he's the one calling me and chasing me. So, and that was within like a month. Initially, no, if you send me Hannah, my friend, on fire, no, I send me a message, I'll call you back on Fred, those kinds of things. Then all of a sudden, the guy needs one of the things I have done. And he's calling me, sending me message, let me use me. Oh, no, I intentionally didn't mind him because, look, and I'll tell you this, the guy sat a place where we needed a piece of land to develop some properties on it. And Charlie, a guy, on say, or throw letter, no me sign here, the friend on fire, lawyer, friend on not, and I'm in court, and at the end, oh, Charlie, the guy give me stress like 1 month. Then finally, he wrote the letter and signed it. 6 months down the line, I've built the house and he wants one. 6 months down the line, I have built the houses, he wants one. And he's calling me everywhere. He's calling me everywhere. Oh, friend, I did a side. Make I call you back. Noise day here. I go call you back. Oh, Charlie, the time I think they make late. I'm not sure. So I feel say you did court. So I don't call you, sir. One day I did a side door. We come there. They say, I call the people. They say you did here. You, but they call. I said, no. They say we all make busy. But you see how they work. And that day I told him because he's my age mate. On share me biasa. So I told him to the face. Charlie, the time they said this now, you see the wala you gave me. But now you won't buy the house on. I go sell for you double the price. Then we laugh. The guy now is my very good friend. Oh, he's got a house. He's paid for. Everybody's happy. Now we talk like friends. He can call you, Charlie, what's up, Dela? Those things. So sometimes it's the level. When they think that they are at a place where they have leverage and you are down there, you are the one going to be sapping from them, they have a different posture. When it gets this way, the posture is different. When it goes like that, the posture. Can you imagine all of a sudden you become a minister? All of a sudden, you look at this happen. What happened a few months ago, where people were sleeping in their rooms and before they could say Jack, they have become ministers. All of a sudden. Then people now realize that, Charlie, the guy, the reality stage. There were people who were candidates. All of a sudden, they are ministers. There were people who were deputy ministers who are now become substantive ministers. And their colleagues are still deputy ministers. They moved their notch higher. Meanwhile, we all know what happened with one of the political parties where apparently the vice president was being disrespected by some guy. Within 24 hours, that man's life changes. He becomes president and the guy doesn't know where to sleep. So life is very interesting. And anytime we are at a place of leverage, let's not look down on the people who are on the other side. Because you don't know what will happen. You may get up one morning and by the time you are going to bed, your situation has changed entirely. God be with you and thank you very much.
Hallelujah.
Tobechuku, Tobechuku, he has done it for me.